2018 Hyundai Kona SUV Review. The good points of Hyundai Kona SUV. Bold styling with personalization options. Top designs include tons of kit. Punchy 1.0-liter petrol is successful. Comfortable and satisfying drive in automobile. High quality, well-built interior. The bad points of Hyundai Kona SUV. Price is high if you wish Satan of. Coarse and thirsty 1.6-liter petrol. Lovely styling. Tight rear seats and boot. Named after having a district in Hawaii, the Hyundai Kona joins the Korean firm's SUV range below the Tucson and Santa Fe. At launch, the Kona slots alongside the similar size X20 compact MPV community. Boasts a great deal more modern styling along with a bolder SUV-style stance. Hyundai Kona crossover takes target Nissan Juke. It's a fast-growing crossover sector which the Kona joins. Sized to contend with Nissan's Juke and also the Vauxhall Crossland X, with the Peugeot 2008 and Renault Captur and also the Mazda CX-3, the Kona faces stiff competition. Tough new rivals add the C-Terona and Citroën C3 Aircross, together with the MG ZS along with models through the Volkswagen Group arriving later. Another competitor is available in the form in the Kona's sister model, the Kia Stonic, which shares engines and a lot of other technology beneath the skin. Majoring on style, the Kona features controversial styling that some drivers will like and others will hate, such as the Nissan Juke, which spearheaded your little friend crossover sector, in a very deliberate relocate to draw new buyers to your brand. This is a car for Hyundai, because it continues quite a few new visual themes, introduced inside late-generation i30 hatchback, albeit having a radical Citroën-inspired vibe. It rides over a modified version in the i20 hatchback's platform and that is shared while using closely related Stonic. Option of all-wheel drive and dual-clutch automatic. The Kona comes which has a range of turbocharged engines, comprising 1.0-liter and 1.6-liter petrols and also a 1.6-liter diesel into two power outputs. Cheapest would be the 1.0-liter 120 horsepower petrol, even though the most economical would be the lesser diesel engine with 115 horsepower. Meanwhile, the strongest, the 177 horsepower 1.6-liter petrol, is sold with all-wheel drive along with a dual-clutch automatic gearbox as standard which is capable of accelerating to 62 miles per hour inside a brisk 7.9 seconds, in contrast to 12.0 seconds with the 1.0-liter. The 1.0-liter, conversely, comes using a 6-speed manual gearbox and front-wheel drive, so does the 115 horsepower diesel. Whilst the 136 horsepower diesel may also be available in automatic, all-wheel drive form in the event the diesels arrive in mid-2018. An all-electric Kona can be expected to reach in 2018. All engines have already been tuned for low engine speed punch, include them as easy to push with palatable fuel economy. Expect just above 50 miles per gallon for your 1.0-liter petrol and simply under 40 miles per gallon in the 1.6-liter. Figures to the diesels are going to be announced better than arriving in showrooms. Channeling its power for the road, the Kona include chunky alloy wheels approximately 18 inches in diameter to get a rugged look. Reasonably high ground clearance of 170 mm to the Kona implies that you should be less likely to scrape the lower of this Hyundai when negotiating steep, bumpy driveways or still dropping rutted campsite roads than using a conventional hatchback. Kona gets serious outside plus in. It looks striking externally. The slim day running lights DRLs certainly are a new Hyundai feature, neatly house incorporated turn signals and therefore are positioned in a very separate on the fold headlamps that can as standard around the top-spec models. At the trunk, you have a set of LED lamps on range-topping models, while using slim taillights being supplemented by separate clusters housing the brake lights, indicators and reversing lamps. It's much the same arrangement compared to that employed around the Kia Sportage. It's decluttered inside, which has a split-level dashboard that leaves the touchscreen media system display appearing to float above it. It's a setup that debuted within the i10 and i30, and which simplifies what sort of heating, ventilation and aircon controls work. Hyundai has been working difficult to perfect the ergonomic expertise in its mainstream cars. What personalization choice is there? Like the Nissan Juke, the Hyundai Kona permits you to personalize your car or truck with bright paint colors, contrasting roof tones and zingy interior trim. Buyers can select from a wide selection of hues including lime green and bright orange, which will make their car get noticed. On the line in colored stitching and similarly saturated accents around the steering wheel, round the gear lever and around the seat belts should allow you to tailor the Kona for your tastes. What tech would you get inside Hyundai Kona? There's each of the safety equipment you'd anticipate finding in an all-new family SUV, although most of it is only entirely on top-spec models or for an optional extra. The top model receives autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, rear cross-traffic alert RCTA and high beam assist HBA. Meanwhile, lane keeping assist LKA and driver attention alert DA feature over the range. You also get blind spot detection within the top models along using a head-up display HUD, which projects driving information on top of the windscreen because you drive, to suit the 8.0-inch infotainment screen suited to these versions. Hyundai claims the head-up monitor remains perfectly visible, regardless how bright everything's outside. The 7.0-inch and 8.0-inch units also support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Finally, you'll be able to cut down interior clutter further with wireless smartphone charging, although that's only within the priciest trim levels equally as well if your mobile doesn't support it. And audiophiles should appreciate the 8-speaker Trailhead unit fitted towards the top half on the range for better music quality. Other luxury kit also comes in the form of the heated controls and electric front seat adjustment plus heated and ventilated seats for greater the reassurance of extreme temperatures, though again you should choose one from the range-topping models to obtain these. The verdict. The Kona is really a neatly designed car that appears great on the path, or horrifically ugly according to your taste, drives well, and comes loaded with kit, provided you end up picking one on the higher specs. This should be an uncomplicated car to reside in with inside long term. It's roomy in the beginning, set with thoughtful features, is kitted well, and it is actually impressive they are driving. Just how good could it be? Well, that depends about the finance pricing, which can be yet to be confirmed. Hyundai says that drivers should expect 4.9% APR as well as a £500 deposit contribution discount if your car arrives from the UK. If that comes true, rivals such as the Citroën are more likely to have lower monthly premiums, with lower interest charges and larger discounts available. Keep watching the full Hyundai Kona review to determine whether this small SUV will probably be worth the money. Cheaper 1.0-liter petrol is useful. 1.6-liter petrol noisy with dim-witted automatic. Diesel engines being released mid-2018. Kona drivers employ a choice between two turbocharged petrol engines using a pair of diesels set to reach in mid-2018. An electric Kona is usually expected to carry on sale in 2018, and is particularly likely to share a few of its technology with all the Solev from Hyundai sister brand Kia. The cheapest Kona comes using a turbocharged 1.0-liter engine. It may be small, but this motor does an excellent job of hauling the compact Kona around. In comparison, the 1.6-liter turbocharged petrol produces a lot more noise, but doesn't think much faster, thanks for the combination of heavy standard-fit all-wheel drive and also a listless automatic gearbox. The two diesel engines make less sense in riding, as they're more likely to cost more, in cash and finance terms, somewhat canceling out any economy benefits. Pick 1.0-liter TGDI turbo petrol engine. Not only may be the 1.0-liter the least expensive Kona engine choice, additionally, it seems the most beneficial fit for your car. Ignore the engine's minute size. A turbocharger makes sure that this motor gives a reasonable volume of shove from low engine speeds, with 120 horsepower and 172 Nm of torque on tap. Taking 12.0 seconds to amble to 62 miles per hour, the Kona, however, does take 2 seconds or possibly even longer to hit the benchmark speed than rivals including the equivalent 1.0-liter petrol Citroën. Its top speed weighs 112 miles per hour, somewhat dented because of the car's bluff aerodynamics. So if acceleration is essential to you, otherwise you often carry many passengers or heavy luggage, similarly priced rivals convey more to offer. It sees well, and even if it's not as fast in some recoverable format as rivals, still feels adequately nippy for most driving. The gear change is additionally very slick, meaning it's no hardship to shift between gears to take care of speed on steeper roads, or when about to overtake. Helping for making the 1.0-liter engine an excellent fit for that car is its smoothness and reasonably muted noise levels. This implies that you can arrange it hard, while you need to accomplish for brisk acceleration, without them feeling strained. Claimed fuel economy, meanwhile, weighs 52.3 miles per gallon for all those 1.0-liter models, bar the entry-level S version, which includes smaller, lighter wheels, at 54.3 miles per gallon. While official figures are sometimes not very realistic, the significantly faster 115 horsepower 1.0-liter Citroën returns figures around 35 miles per gallon higher for most cases. We'd avoid 1.6-liter TGDI turbo petrol engine. The 1.6-liter petrol engine feels significantly less suited on the Kona. Despite having around 50% more power, with 177 horsepower and 265 Nm available. Furthermore, it has to haul around a lot more weight, thanks for the addition of your automatic gearbox and standard-fit all-wheel drive. That ensures that despite a 0.62 miles per hour time that drops as a result of a nippy 7.9 seconds, it feels somewhat underwhelming in normal driving. Part of the is down towards the automatic gearbox, which isn't as slick or quick to react as units and rivals including the Citroën. Of these driving modes available with all the automatic gearbox sports, normal and eco, these two don't appear to make much difference, but squeeze former definitely makes the transmission a much more responsive. This Kona will keep going until 127 miles per hour. Far more than you'll ever need on UK roads, though again, the boxy styling means it is less than you'd expect in the similarly sized hatchback using the same power. This shows that you can expect acceleration to tail off at higher speeds in contrast to sleeker alternatives. Meanwhile, the heavy all-wheel drive system feels unnecessary for just a car similar to this, and that is likely to spend extremely little, if any, days off-road, plus it adds quite a few its own disadvantages. Claimed fuel economy drops with a poor 42.2 miles per gallon thanks for the automatic all-wheel drive combination. This lags way behind quite a few larger, more robust and four-wheel drive automatic petrol models, for example the Audi Q3 Offroader and BMW 3 Series Touring Estate. Worse than this, the 1.6-liter petrol is only for sale in range-topping form, so that it is extraordinarily expensive for the car within this class, about £25,000. Yes, it's stuffed with the many equipment you can actually want, but we'd expect a much more refined engine and slicker automatic gearbox to the money. The creative options. 2 diesel engines are supposed to arrive in mid-2018. Hyundai describes these motors because it is next generation of motors, in case they're anything just like the noisy, gruff unit inside closely related Kia Stonic. We'd recommend sticking for the 1.0-liter petrol. Due on the large premium required to step up at a petrol with a diesel for most small cars, we'd wager that this 1.0-liter model is likely to make many more sense for many drivers. Also set to reach in 2018 can be an all-electric Kona, and that is likely to share its technology with all the Kia Solev, from Hyundai's sister company. If that's the situation, expect a potential selection of around 130 miles per charge. Gearbox and all-wheel drive choices. The entry-level 1.0-liter petrol incorporates a standard-fit 6-speed manual gearbox, as the 1.6-liter version is available having a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox and all-wheel drive. The diesel models, alternatively, should be provided with power going towards the front wheels and also a manual gearbox or perhaps an automatic all-wheel drive combination. As for that electric Kona, this may get an automatic gearbox, too. Satisfying drive with good comfort. Nicely weighted steering. Not an excessive amount of body roll. The taller an automobile is, the worse it generally takes corners, with increased body roll, or stiffer suspension required to keep it in order, so most small SUVs are handicapped from the handling department weighed against ordinary superminis. The Kona, however, acquits itself well on twisty roads, while using precise steering generally providing a superb sense of simply how much grip is level, but it really can feel quite firm about the bumpiest of roads. On smooth roads the vehicle soaks up bumps imperceptibly, though. Yes, the suspension is usually a little stiff, nevertheless it's been well set up. As an effect, the 1.0-liter Kona drives being a much larger car, as the steering is light in normal driving, but weights up nicely around bends. Drive it fast, however, and you also get much less feedback over the steering as to what the front tires are as much as, it's definitely happier with ordinary driving in comparison with higher speed driving. The 1.6-liter petrol provides a comparable feel towards the steering, though contrary the suspension isn't quite as settled over rougher tarmac, potentially to this being certainly the heavier model. It's pretty good. Nonetheless it lacks a little from the comfort found within the 1.0-liter. Another downside will come in the form of handling that's no sharper, in spite of the substantial quantity of additional power. As a consequence, you're very likely to find yourself at the edge from the 1.6's grip faster than in smaller engine models. Consequently, anyone expecting the 1.6-liter petrol to feel sporty will probably be disappointed. Detracting through the driving experience somewhat in both cases are large rear pillars which mean want to take more care than supposed to safely change lanes. With good quality materials, a good feel to everything along with a reasonably slick design, the Kona feels more upmarket than you would possibly expect. However, opt for one from the top trim levels, because you need to have equipment including SatNav, plus it's also pricier than you may expect. So, whilst the Kona comfortable to wear inside, it genuinely should do considering simply how much most buyers can be paying. Despite a high-mounted touchscreen multimedia system, the inside is quite plain. Yes, it is possible to choose bright-colored trim for your seat, controls and gear lever stitching, dashboard trim, seat belts and air vents, but it is very much a bland interior plastered in shiny trim. This differs from models including the Nissan Juke where you are able to get large swathes of color, such as huge transmission tunnel, which may be specified in numerous highlighter grade hues. Most crossover drivers will probably be perfectly happy using the interior from the Kona. However, if you expect the personalization options to provide you using a zany, high-vis finish, you might be disappointed here. The 8-inch media system suited to top-spec models is successful, using a clear, crisp display. It does, however, often seem keen to zoom out between set of instructions, making it not easy to simply check out map to see the next direction. Similarly, connecting a cell phone to use the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto connectivity works reasonably well, although map isn't as clear mainly because it could be, meaning you ought to be slightly more with your toes and keep on top of where you're going from your map alone. Thankfully, Hyundai has included several shortcut buttons for several functions across the media screen, including radio, media connections, map and sat-nav displays. This makes it easier to switch between functions within the move than forcing you to make use of the touchscreen. There may also be numerous buttons about the steering wheel to adopt advantage of much in the standard kit. The sheer number causes it to be tricky to quickly simply select the button you would like by feel, but you'd quickly enjoy this when living with all the car. Aside on the market, there are not many other controls within the dashboard, making these simple to navigate when driving. Yes, the Kona may handle tidily around corners, using the tightly controlled suspension keeping over body roll, however it's still admirably comfortable. We found leading seats particularly beautiful, with lots of side and back support and electric lumbar adjustment for providing greater support for one's lower back, on all bar the entry-level model. Whatever shape or size you might be, therefore, you will be able to find a cushy driving position. In fact, it does not take lower spec models with cloth seats which provide the most comfortable seats. The suspension, alternatively, is stiffer than lots of its rivals' setups. It's firm, so you notice it on roads which aren't well maintained and filled with potholes. It's never too uncomfortable, but it really certainly a rather harsher ride than something being a Kona or Renault Capture. Overall refinement levels are particularly high for your 1.0-liter, 2, with little wind or engine noise being audible from the cabin, even at motorway speeds. It's a new story for that 1.6-liter petrol. The ride feels less smooth, then when accelerating hard the engine becomes extremely coarse to get a brand new car. The engine feels well below par considering it's purely available from around 25,000 pounds. Road noise on models with larger 18-inch wheels can be extremely noticeable, too, particularly if you're sat from the back from the car. Entry-level trims lack desirable kit. Top models set with kit but pricey. Premium offers best combination kit and value. Buyers can decide between 5 trim levels at launch: S, SE, Premium, Premium SE and Premium GT. While base models get a good amount of desirable equipment, sat-nav is notably absent around the first 2 trim levels, meaning you need to spend more compared to most rivals for getting a car with mapping. Pay more for that pricey top-spec versions and they are generally bursting with equipment. Standard Hyundai Kona equipment. The Hyundai Kona S gets air conditioning, Electric back and front windows. Driver's seat height adjustment. 5.0-inch LCD display media system. Bluetooth. DAB radio. USB connection. Cruise control. Electric heated wing mirrors. Automatic headlights. Lane keep assist. 16-inch alloy wheels. Step within the Hyundai Kona Safe 4. 7.0-inch touchscreen media system. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Rear parking sensors and reversing camera. 17-inch alloy wheels. Roof rails. Fog lamps. Driver's seat electric lumbar support. Upgrade to your Hyundai Kona Premium. Meanwhile, 4. 8.0-inch touchscreen media system with sat-nav. Wireless phone charging. 18-inch alloy wheels. Climate control. Automatic windscreen wipers. Tinted rear windows. Keyless entry and keyless ignition. Uprated 8-speaker head unit. The Kona Premium Say adds leather upholstery. Electric front seats. Heated and ventilated front seats. Heated leader. Front parking sensors. Electric folding wing mirrors. Head-up display. The range-topping Hyundai Kona 1.6 TGDI 177 horsepower is accessible only in premium GT form, which adds full LED headlights with high beam assist. Safety pack including autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian recognition. Hyundai Kona, optional extras. Hyundai typically doesn't offer many choices on its cars, and that's the situation here. Apart from selecting colored interior trim, you are able to select metallic paint, a sunroof, a two-tone roof and autonomous emergency braking. Hyundai's decision not to ever fit autonomous emergency braking as standard on any from the 1.0-liter petrol models is disappointing. But within the auspices of Euro NCAP gets hotter crashed the Kona, this hadn't stopped it scoring the whole 5-star rating. Yes, you are able to pay £235 at launch to acquire EB, but we feel that Hyundai does have its priorities skewed somewhat, considering unnecessary toys being a heated tire and ventilated seats into the future as standard on some models. Standard Hyundai Kona safety kit. 6 airbags, ABS, a driver attention alert system and electronic stability control are typically standard, as is often a lane-keeping system. Additional equipment fitted towards the 1.6-liter petrol include autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian recognition, rear cross-traffic alert and blind spot detection. The further back you go inside Kona, the less room there exists. Even the tallest of drivers ought to be able to find a cushy driving position with lots of head and legroom offered. There's a great deal of seat adjustment, and also the mirrors give a fantastic view with the road behind. Large rear pillars result in the interior a bit darker. Personal computer could be though, and limit over-the-shoulder visibility when changing lanes. The rear seats, however, are notably tighter. Yes, you will be able to fit 4 6-footers inside Kona, but those from the rear seats probably won't be too happy concerning this. Legroom is really a little tight, and headroom also for taller passengers. Thankfully, the spine seats are very comfortable, with good back support available. Ignore its boxy looks, the Kona continues to be a pretty compact car, so that you shouldn't have too much trouble parking. The rear pillars, however, are large, making tight maneuvering harder than it needs to be, particularly in models that lack rear parking sensors along with the reversing camera. The raised driving position can give a reasonable good view ahead, though, so gauging in which the front on the car should prove less challenging. Boot volume is adequate, however the back from the Kona is notably smaller compared to alternatives like the Kona, that provides 400 liters compared while using Kona's 334. There can be an underfloor tray which adds a little bit of practicality, but this really is shallow instead of particularly useful.